What we're doing today is we're going to look at the brakes in the front because we hear some grinding noise. So when we step on the pedal, so we're going to have to check it out, see what the problem is. Maybe we don't have any pad left. Well, we got lots of pad, it looks like, on this side, but not on the inside. The inside is gone. So we're going to have to take the caliper off and replace the pads. To take these off, you're going to need yourself an Allen socket and then hammer it in there. That'll loosen it up a bit. And then turn them out. So now that you've loosened off those two bolts, just pull this out. Okay, you want to hook this hose. Now this bar here, you're going to want to pull it past like that, so it's free. And then just get a bit of fiddling around, but pull the caliper off, just like that. And there you have it. See, the inside completely gone. So we're going to have to replace the rotors now too. Alright, now that you've got the caliper out of the way, to get the rotor off, you're going to need to take off the carrier. So the same thing, there's two bolts in the back. You've got to hammer them a little bit, make sure that they're broken free, and just unscrew them. Comes off like that. Now we got to hammer the rotor, and it comes off just like that. Okay, so the car's rim's been on this for a long time. It's rusted solid onto the hub. So what you do is grab yourself a hammer and you hit the tire from the inside, but flat. We'll show you. So you take the hammer and you hit it flat right there, not on the rim. You don't want to bend your rim. Just give it a good swatch, come right off. There you go, it's off. Okay, so on this side we see that the rotor is fine and there's lots of brake pad, but we're going to change these two. And the reason being that is if you don't change them, when you go to stop and you've only changed the one side, it's not going to brake equal, so that's a safety hazard. Alright, now everything's the same on this side as it is on the other side. Get the caliper off first. Okay, remember to unhook this hose. Pull it out. Hammer it a little bit, make it loose. Watch out, that one. Whatever, please, buddy. Yes.
I touched it. Anything you eat. I'll be quiet, okay?
Okay. Now we have another problem. Look at all that grease. The boots come off. It looks like there's no holes in it, so we're just going to have to try to get it back on there. Alright. Now remember, we've got to take these two bolts off here, hammer them. Alright, so when you're putting the boot back on, make sure you dry off the metal surface where the boot goes on. Put some new grease in there. And normally a metal clamp goes on here, but we don't have one, so we're going to use this tie strap. Make sure it's good and tight. And then just cut it off and we can continue with our brakes. Alright, so now what we got to do is get yourself a nice little hand vise like we have here. You have to turn it out. Take your caliper. Try out some more. Okay, stick it in there like that. And turn it in. That way it turns your piston in. Okay, and then once it's flush, we pull it off. There you have it. So we can do the same thing on the other side. It makes the brakes a lot easier to put on. Now before we put the rotor on, we're putting a light film of grease here so it doesn't rust out as quickly as it would without. Okay, now we're going to put on our replacement rotor. Now it's normally held on by the screw right here, so just line up so that that bolt hole goes in the same spot, and then we're just going to hold it on with the wheel bolt. Now that you've got that, just reinstall your carrier. Okay, since this is all rusty here, we put a little bit of grease on the back of this, so just to help it slide in a little bit quicker. Get your pads on. Try not to get any grease on here though. Okay. Now what we're going to do first though, before we install that, we're going to take these to the wire brush, clean them up, and then we're going to have to re-lube them and put them back in. Okay, here they are. They're all cleaned up. Threads are all nice and clean. But remember, it's always good practice on whatever you're working on to clean up your threads before you re-screw it. Now what we're going to do is put a little bit of grease on here. I'm all lubed up. And with the other one. Now what you want to do is when you're pushing them back into the sleeves, there's a little plastic pushing inside, so what you need to do is wiggle it a little bit so you're not pushing it out. Just like that. Okay, here we are. Now we're going to put it back on like that. And there you have that. So, take your screwdriver, push this back over. And now reattach the caliper to the carrier. Again? No. Okay, there you have it. Your caliper's all put back in. The main bolts for the carrier, they're around 55 pounds torque, and for the caliper to go into the carrier, they're about 14 pounds. Anyway, put on that little clip so your hose is in place. Next thing we got to do is put the tire on and we're done. Alright, now that the job is finished, the last thing to do is clean up our tools. Don't get dirty grabbing them.